I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up, matter what, told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up.
Coming on, this is Ain't to Ain't. This is Ain't to Ain't. Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. This is Marie coming to your hearing, and I'm coming on tonight. Thanking Mr. Julius Hall for giving us this platform to share our stories. AB is the brainchild who came up with Incarceration to Incorporate, and Mr. Julius Campbell, which I call Miko, he is on a trip. So I'm coming on tonight saying thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the men in Jessup and the Jessup prison for listening to Ink, Incarceration to Incorporate. And I have with us the gorgeous Miss Monique. She's coming on tonight to share her story. So Miss Monique, I just want you to tell me your name and your affiliation with Incarceration.
My name is Monique Nicole, and my affiliation with Incarceration started in the year 2012 when I was incarcerated with 6 felonies and 2 misdemeanors dealing with drug possession.
You say 6 felonies, Sugar?
Yes, I did.
And
And two
so
misdemeanors.
that I don't want to leave that out in 2 misdemeanors. So could you tell me, Monique, like how much time did you do?
Now, I did 19 hours. That was the time that I did.
You did
The
19
hardest,
hours.
hard 19. It was a hard 19. It was anytime you inside there is hard, but it was super
Exactly.
hard. Super hard.
Exactly. So okay, so what was the outcome of the 19 hours that you did? What did they have? What was the conditions after the 19 hours?
Okay, after the 19 hours, I actually got bond out.
Okay.
Okay, and it was a long process between getting bond out and actually for the case to come to a head of what the decision was going to be my term of punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first offer, even though it was my first time, I want to let you know this was my first time, was
Mm-hmm.
a year to do inside prison. So that's what they wanted me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard so many different stories about probation, but for me, it was very much different. So this was a long, drawn out process of maybe about 3, 4 years. And the conclusion that we came up with, because the year was still on the table, was that I would do a open-ended plea. And that's what I did was an open-ended plea.
So at the
That open,
open-ended plea, Miss Monique, what did they do? What did the judge decide?
okay, the judge decided for me that I was going to get 5 years probation.
5 years
And if I
probation.
that would and if I were to keep it intact and not get in any trouble at the end of my 5 years, my first offenders would still be intact
So that's good.
or
So I
reinstated.
be reinstated. So did you do that successfully?
No, I didn't.
You did not.
I
Oh,
didn't.
you did not.
I
Okay.
I did. I look, the road of probation. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
complete it successfully, but at the end was a rainbow because it was a journey unto
Yeah.
that. Uh, Um, where I started and I received a 5 year probation.
Mm-hmm.
It was terms of you had to get a urine sample, you had to check in, and honestly, I can tell you the truth is that I was not doing that because I was stressed out of many different circumstances. So my choice of recreational use, I did. And actually, what caused me to violate my probation. Is not funny, but it was a couple of years ago. It was on Veterans Day, close to Veterans
Mm-hmm.
Day, and I actually was supposed to be on unsupervised probation. So at
Mm-hmm.
unsupervised probation, I just went and did a check-in with my probation officer a week prior. I came in to actually do inventory. They did a surprise urine test. Guess who was dirty? I
You.
was dirty. So what they decided for me, and I was so scared, but I was going through, and I decided to be vulnerable, and I chose it. Um, Instead of violating and doing jail time, they actually was going to give me, I think it's RDC or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. It was where you would have to report like 9 to 5, and they
Mm-hmm.
had curfew, and I told them that I have to work. If I don't work, I don't eat. I understand it could be any terms and condition that I can work towards this. I'm not trying to get out of it. He did understand. I didn't give him any problems or trouble. So what they referred me to was drug court,
Okay.
and that is yes. So that is how I actually completed my probation. Was
Okay.
on drug court, and that was a 24-month program that I actually completed successfully in 18 months.
Okay. So was your first offender still intact after you
Yes,
violated?
yes,
Oh,
ma'am. It's still intact.
oh, that was wonderful. Because sometimes when you meet the first offenders, they can take and violate you and send you to prison. So
Yes,
that was really, really
but
good. So go ahead.
it was to understand that it was good, but to get to the road, there was not good because there was so many terms and stipulations with drug court. And you will actually, if you hear about drug court, they will actually tell you that they set you up for failure
Mm.
because you have so many requirements to do that they look at you as that you're going to fail. So I had to do 30 meetings in 30 days.
You had
I
to do
also
what? Say that again.
30 30 meetings in 30 days. That
Okay.
means every day I had to go to NA meeting and I had to sign off on. Also, I had to do urine tests. The sheriff office
Mm.
actually would come to my house, and if my color was called on a day, I actually had to go to a place. They had to watch me take a urine test, see if I was positive. If I was positive, it was term and stipulations. For me, I had high levels of THC. It took 3 months for me to show no THC in my system after I got in the program. So
So that's
what
why
they
they
had
wanted to, is that, excuse me, I'm sorry, Monique, is that why they want to see you for 30 days because the level of THC was high in your system?
No, ma'am, drug court, you have to work it to know it is to work it. So they wanted to make sure that you understand that I was in there, my recreational use is marijuana. But they want to let you know that an idle mind out and not having a support system going to these meetings and understanding what you're going through, what it can cause, that's what you had to do. So that was just part of the program that you had to go to. You had to go to those meetings and get a fully understanding of who you are. And so, but
Right.
it also taught you that no drug is better than any other drug. A drug is a drug.
A
You
drug
know
is
what
a
I'm saying?
drug.
A
Yes.
drug is a drug. So that right there was alone was tiring because I had these. Not only did I work in the morning time, but I had to make sure I go to a meeting every day of the week. Then I had to come home and get my kids together. I did not drive at the time. My husband transported and took me to every meeting and stayed with me. If it wasn't a women's meeting, he went to every meeting with me, even at
Right.
court. So
Right.
also I had to go to class. I had to go to classes at night for 2 hours, and I had to do check-ins. And it's very hard because you have to be disciplined. If you want your freedom, and you striving to be a better person, it was no
Mm-hmm.
room for mess ups, especially that I knew that I had my kids depending on me. And all in all, my kids really didn't know the situation that we were in until one night something happened. And I really had to explain why I was going out in the evening. I was telling her I was going to school. So everything that I had going on, it was still shield for my children because they're so innocent.
Right. And so that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, how did it affect them? Being that you had to work, then you had to do drug court, then you had to go to school. That's a lot. So
It
how
was
did
a
it,
lot. Um, it affects them. I wouldn't say she didn't understand it up until it affected her terribly. It was one night my kids normally be asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Around this time, and she had to use the restroom. But this was
Mm-hmm.
happening the time that this was my random visit for them to come and test me to see. First of all, to see if I'm home because I had a curfew. Second,
Oh.
I had to take a second I had to take a urine test.
Mm.
So they came, and when I was taking the urine test in the process of it, my daughter had to use the restroom. And she looked and she saw a sheriff come out the restroom with me.
Oh.
It messed
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
because
that's a
first
lot.
of all, that's a lot. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to take as a parent because if that right there didn't just as you can imagine how to tell a child when they look in the police is to protect and serve and they come out escorting you and you trying to figure out I was just asleep, she just kissed me, we just prayed.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? So,
Exactly.
mama, you go to school, and I had to say, I'm gonna tell you something. Mama did something and mama not proud.
Right.
And this wonderful lady is to make sure that I stay on track. And long as they see me staying on track, it's all right. And guess what?
Right.
This ain't gonna be forever. So she smiled, she waved at her. I kissed her.
Mm-hmm.
I let my baby finish up. I kissed her, excuse me. I kissed her, I'm sorry, and let my baby finish. And
Mm-hmm.
we proceeded to go along right with that. And look, and long as mama kept her word
That's right.
every night. And look, and even if she didn't have to use the bathroom, look, it let me keep my room doors always open, always open. So just in case she want to peep in, I can
Yeah,
look right at her.
that's right. And I heard you say, Monique, you said that you didn't have support. That that is so important when you take and you're going through something like this, a support system. And you say that you did not have support. How did that make you feel?
It was a journey of rediscovery.
Mm.
It
Talk
was a
on that.
journey of it was a journey of rediscovery because Monique didn't know she had so much childhood trauma built up. And in this process, so many things came out. I was angry. I was so
Hmm.
angry. And I had needed to work past it.
Right.
Okay. So, dealing with this, uh, I had to realize what was actually making me upset, and when I came to terms with it, with the no support, that only support that I needed, and I can honestly say it was just me and God because I had to understand questions and answers that I needed, and I couldn't get it from the person. So I
Right.
needed I needed some healing to go through it.
Hmm.
So the only support system I could tell you that I had my husband because we was in it together, and
Right.
I had his family. And it's
Hmm.
something when you're looking for support and they ask your husband to go in front of you and they ask everyone in the room, to say something nice about this person because you're talking about good character.
Right.
And then I go up and they tell me, do you have anyone else? And if you do, is there anyone else that have not spoken on him? And I
Hmm.
turned and I looked around and I know when I looked around, it was no one. I said, no, sir. That right there was a feeling of no other.
Right.
But it taught me that I was strong even when I felt at my weakest moment.
Yes.
So, going through the process and going inside drug court, I actually took an MRT class. It's called criminal thinking, and we had to go through these exercises. And I
Hmm.
come to discover that I had loved to talk when I got comfortable around people.
Right.
And I got mad at anybody who wasn't serious. Because first of all, being serious means you wasting my time because I already got to come here, okay? And I already got
That's
to do these
right.
classes. Can we just be for real and can we get it on the table and can we go home? That's it.
Right.
So it was this one assignment and it was it's a step. and I'm not familiar with what number step, but it is taking an inventory of yourself, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
come to terms and accepting, on a list of people that have done you wrong. Now, mind you, I had a list of people, and some of my people was deceased,
Right.
but it was a letter, that I had to write explaining, what this person done to me or the faults that I have given to this person, and they wanted me to write a date
Right.
on when I think I would deliver this or say this to this person and do the confrontation. Some letters I had a date, some letters I did,
Right.
and what I also came to know in doing that is you not all the time you're gonna get an apology. So what are you gonna do and move forward with it?
Exactly.
You can't
Exactly.
use it. You can't use it as an excuse and a crutch. What are you gonna do? Because right now, what would an apology do? And right now, what's done, you can move forward. You don't
Right.
need that apology to justify. No, you don't. You actually need to take a look at what's inside yourself, what's making you angry. What can you build
Right.
from it? What have you built from it? And what can you take from it? Or what you want to learn and better yourself from? So that's what I did. That's what I
That's
had to do.
maturity, Monique. That's what you call maturity. You
And
got to
look,
grow from that. And in this, can I ask you a question? In this situation and all that you have been through, what have you taken from that? What are you doing now?
what's crazy? Uh, in my process, I had come to know that when I was younger,
Hmm.
I hurted a lot of people
Hmm.
unintentionally.
Right.
And even when I gave an apology, I knew there was still hurt. An apology didn't take away from the hurt. And what people got to understand, just because you apologize, don't mean, and when the person forgive you, that it really do anything. It's validation, but they still have the right to feel the way they feel because they're
Right.
human. Do you
Right.
understand? So I come to know that I hurted a lot of people, and in the process, it wasn't of my own doing or it wasn't intentionally, but it was. Even when I said I'm sorry, it didn't work. So how can I do it? No, what Monique did was I gave what they gave me,
Hmm.
and what it is was whether it was encouraging words, whether it was sharing my story, whether it was
Hmm.
given to the less fortunate. I wanted to
Hmm.
make it was a full circle because how they say some gave and didn't have it to give, and what they gave and shared with me, I loved them for it.
Right.
Because they say that you have this piece of me, you're welcome. I may not have much, but you're welcome. That all right there was priceless to me. So if
Right.
I couldn't repay them back and repair the hurt and damage I was done, at least I can do them the due diligence and do what they did for me because
Right.
that's what make the world go round. So that's what I do, and that's what I took from it. So when someone tell me thank you or it's ever a situation where I can give back, I do. Just
That's
because somebody did it for me. Who am I? Somebody did it for me, so why I can't do it? What
that's
little
right.
I have or what much I have, that's what I
Well, that is wonderful. If you was in front of some young girls, some young ladies, and they are going through the same exact thing that you have been through, what would you say to encourage them, to help them get through? What would you say to them?
I would say love yourself.
Mm.
Love yourself when no one else will love you. Get
Right.
in tune and get a spiritual side. I can't tell a person who to choose and who to love and who to trust and who to serve. But I want you to get closer to who your higher power is. I would tell you that because it will be sometimes you will have to walk a road alone. It will be sometimes you will make decisions that you're not proud of when you look back at them. It would be some choices that you wish that you can turn over. But
Mhm.
long as you keep moving forward, no many how many times you fall, get back up. You may
Exactly.
bend, but don't you break. Don't break
Right.
your spirit and don't break your joy because it's a rainbow. And what I always come to take of it is that I don't want to be a footnote in life. I want to make my mark known. So I will always say to a young lady, reach out to another young lady. Um, just encourage and uplift. That's what I do. I'm so self-conscious about myself and my gap that I'm afraid to talk. So this is the most I have talked. So when I talk to people and I greet someone, even if it's a man, I call them beautiful
That's right.
because that's who you are. And they'll say, either you say, hey, boy, hey, beautiful. I don't know your real name. But when you meet me, the first impression of someone is the last, could be the very much last impression. And when
Right.
you see me, I want you to feel beautiful. I want you to feel whole. I want you to feel like you know me. So in
Mm-hmm.
order to do that, guess what? I had to love my gap. I had to love myself. I had to take myself in. So
That's
before
right.
I can do anything, I had to learn how to just love myself. So you got to know yourself, flaws and all, even if you got to look at yourself in the mirror naked and say, "This is me."
That's right.
So that's
I like that. I like that you say you have to love yourself because a lot of people, when they are in the life of crime or doing things that is against the law, it starts with self, things that they feel about themselves and how they begin to act out. So I really like that. I want to encourage the men and women that are listening to me. Learn to love self. Sometimes, you know what, you be looking for people to stand with you and you'll be standing alone, but you have to encourage yourself in that. The name of the topic of this show tonight is A Debt is No Longer a Debt. Monique, you don't went and you done paid your debt. As far as your debt is like being on probation, all the things
right.
that you had to go through, guess what? That's no, you done did that. You done paid that debt. So nobody can hold you against that, for that. I love what Mr. Hall would say. Mr. Hall would say, a debt paid is no longer a debt. You can't keep holding me to my past. Cause I done did that. I done lived that. And that's no longer me. So guess what? You can live there, you can stay there, but that's no longer me. And I just love your story. I love the way, you know what, you have to have we have to change the narratives about people and what they
Mm,
used to do. We love to point the finger of what I used to do or what you used to be. But I'm no longer that anymore. And the prison system, love to think that we're going to be recidivism. Recidivism is like a revolving door. They're going to come back. They're going to come back. No, no. Mm-mm.
no.
Changing as Miko would say, we're changing the narrative because a lot of returning citizens, they have homes. Aren't you a homeowner, Monique?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay, you're
ma'am.
a homeowner. You're successful in relationship. You're a married woman. You're raising your
Yes, ma'am.
children. So guess what? That was just a part of your life that you had to go through at that moment. But look at you now.
Yes,
Look
ma'am.
at you now. And I love that. Name some of the conditions, Monique, that gave you hope. What conditions gave you hope?
Hmm. You, as far as,
As
tell me,
far as
as
like
far
when you
as,
were like right now, like think like right now. You done finished that probation. You know, what give you hope? Do look, your two beautiful babies looking at your husband's face, did that give you hope? Did that make you just want to do what's right?
yes, what made me actually was the first night I went inside
Mm-hmm.
and I had to ask a question and the door had
Mm-hmm.
closed. And I said, excuse me. And when I pulled the door, that door didn't open. And I said, I couldn't be here long because that door don't open.
All
And if
right.
I and then the light stayed on all night. And
Yes.
I just put, so I say, if they let me out of here, I can't
Yes.
go back in. So also, because this is funny, okay, because I wanted better. Let me tell you something. My husband was in that lifestyle for a long time,
Right.
and a lot of times, what a lot of times, what people have to understand is when you want change for somebody, you can't beat nobody in the head with it. Do you understand?
Yes,
Because beating
ma'am.
somebody in the head with it will turn them so more into the direction you're trying to get them to come from that it don't
That's
make no
right.
sense instead
Right.
of getting your point across. So you can tell them that you want them and what you strive for. And then what I did was I manifested and I prayed for it. So this is crazy. So when we got arrested, I was thanking God because I prayed for the lifestyle and I already told him I didn't want the lifestyle change. I prayed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't specific in my prayer. It taught me because God can be a comedian to be more specific in your prayer because I didn't ask CNT to come inside my house and make change. But
Right.
when God came, look, but when He moved, He moved. So the people asked me what I was thanking God for. It's
Right.
crazy. Even when my mother came to get even when my mother, and she could testify to this, came to pick up our daughter, 'cause we only had one at the time. They say your daughter and they thanking God she crazy. I looked at him and say, you don't know what I'm thanking God for.
Come on now.
Look, you don't know what I'm thanking God for. Look, I sat inside and said with women with many different walks of life. One lady, she was allergic to clothes. I had other ladies that, I mean, I didn't even understand all the pills and drugs that people could be on. But only thing I know was I needed to get it out that situation. So I prayed for everybody in the cell and told everybody to hold hands in the cell.
Come on now.
And we prayed.
That's
And we
right.
prayed. And
That's
I could
right.
see my husband, who was my boyfriend and baby daddy, I could see him across the way, and he doing communication, and I'm blind and slow and can't see, so I'm trying to figure out what he's saying. And
Mhm.
so it just so happened to be we went to bond at the same time. All us holding hands together, just about sitting down and we looking and we close to each other, and me and him was kind of just across the way. So he went in front of me,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, because of his terms and conditions, they didn't give him a bond right then and there.
Mhm.
But when I came up, me and every woman after me got a bond,
Come on now.
and we was able to walk out of there. And they asked me how old I was, and when I told them, they didn't believe it. But it didn't matter how old it was. It mattered how strong my faith was. That's what
That's
mattered.
right. That's right. That's right.
So that right there alone had motivated me that if he heard that prayer, he heard many more. And after that, it was no more. My husband became a success story. He's now his own entrepreneur. He took his, you could say, his hustler mentality skills and he made it legal.
That's
And
it.
he
That's
find
right.
and he found out that you know what, how they say after that it was worth it because he had a family now. How they say things were important, and just because people have a past and a background, it's two different sides to a story because you have two different walks of life. You have people who do it because of selfish reasons, and you have people that have responsibility and they think that they chooses the wrong alternative of accountability for taking the responsibility of withholding the family. And if
Mhm.
you are a felon or you are a person that have a hard time entering a job, it makes it very hard to do. Do you understand having a
Right.
family? So the choices that they make be because of a family. They character is good, their intent is good. It's just that the situation in the law eyes is bad. Do you
Right.
understand? And it's all how they can grow from it because it can be hard. It could have been very hard. When he came home, it was how to say job processes. Look, if you're on child support and you owe
Right.
arrears or while you in there and it's still going on, you have bills that you already come out to. That can discourage a person that alone, especially when society not letting you back into the workforce world based
That's right.
upon who you are. So coming into and say, I'm gonna take this mentality, and several. I'm sorry, he started several ventures. He did a couple ventures, and guess what? A couple of them it didn't work because it wasn't his niche. It was many things he was great at, but it wasn't his niche. So he found
Mhm.
his niche. He made it a business, and he's been doing it for about 6 years now.
Very
And when you
good.
look at and look, and you still make the same money, he is still free, and it's another just peace that come over you. So how they say, long as you make that strive and know what you got to achieve and know what you have to look forward to and know what you can lose,
That's right. But you
especially
can
how many
move.
strikes you are, what you can lose, and when you think about it, you can make that change.
I like that. That's what I like that. Returning citizens, a lot of returning citizens are entrepreneurs, and shout out to your husband for making that change. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what the topic is about. A debt paid should be no longer a debt. You done paid your debt to society, and that's one thing. Society will hold you. They will hold you to something, but they want everybody to forgive them. They will
Yeah.
hold you to I'm glad we're about to get ready to end the show, but I want to tell you thank you, Monique, for coming on tonight and sharing your story with us. It was real encouraging. I hope that it helps someone out there tonight. I am Marie. If I had something to say, I would say take and do whatever it is that's possible to not break the law. because once you break the law, they make it so hard for you to try to get back into society to do the things that you want to do in life. And those that are incarcerated, as Mika would always say, start preparing yourself to come home, because one day those prison doors are going to open, those jail doors are going to open, and so that you can come out and be the man and woman that you need to be. I am Marie with OAA, Offenders Alumni Association. My colleague Julius Campbell, he's not on tonight, but we help give resources. We help with jobs. We help our best to try to find places to stay. Julius is not on tonight. He's on vacation right now. But I just want to tell him I hope he have a good time and be safe. Monique, thank you so very much, okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you have a good night. This is Marie, Incarceration to Incorporate. Have a good night. Bye.
Like this.